The alarms screamed through the Imperial Defense Command Center like wounded animals. Officers ran between holographic displays that flickered with urgent red warnings. Admiral Kethra stood in the center of the chaos, her forearms crossed behind her back, her scaled face showing no emotion. She had served the Valorian Empire for 60 cycles. She had seen wars, rebellions, and cosmic disasters. But she had never seen this. "Report," she commanded. Her voice cut through the noise like a blade. Lieutenant Vossall turned from his station, his face pale. "Admiral, the quantum fold barrier has been breached. Sector 749. An unidentified vessel appeared inside our space." "Impossible." Kethra moved to the main display. The barrier network surrounded all 10,000 Valorian star systems. It was designed by the greatest minds in the Empire. No ship could pass through it without proper authorization codes. The technology simply did not exist. "Show me." The screen filled with the image of a ship. Kethra stared at it. The vessel was small compared to Valorian cruisers. Its design was strange. The hull was smooth metal, painted white with blue markings. Solar panels extended from its sides like wings. Chemical propulsion ports dotted the rear section. It looked primitive. Ancient, even. "Have we identified the species?" Kethra asked. "No, Admiral. The design matches nothing in our database. We have records of 47 spacefaring civilizations. This ship belongs to none of them." Kethra felt something she rarely experienced: uncertainty. In her long career, every threat had been known and catalogued. Pirates used stolen ships. Rebels flew Valorian designs. Even the hostile Crithian Dominion had predictable technology. But this ship was completely unknown. Where is it now? Holding position near Hesperus 7, the mining colony. The ship is not moving. It is not attacking. It is just waiting. "Have we attempted contact?" "Yes, Admiral. Standard hailing frequencies in all 47 known languages." No response. "We sent mathematical sequences, universal peace symbols, and even basic pictographs." Nothing. The ship remained silent. Kethra made her decision quickly. "Dispatch 3 heavy cruisers. Formation Delta. Weapons ready but not charged. I want that ship captured intact. If it resists, disable it. Do not destroy it unless absolutely necessary." "Yes, Admiral." Vossall relayed the orders. Within minutes, 3 massive Valorian cruisers broke formation from the nearby fleet station. Each ship was 15 times larger than the mysterious vessel. Their hulls were dark purple, embedded with energy shields that shimmered like oil on water. Plasma cannons lined their sides. Missile bays stood ready. The Empire's military might was legendary. These 3 ships alone could conquer a small star system. Kethra watched the holographic display as the cruisers approached the unknown ship. The mining colony of Hesperus 7 appeared as a small dot on the screen. Thousands of Valorian workers lived there, harvesting rare minerals from the asteroid field. They had been evacuated to underground shelters. The colony administrator had reported panic among the population. An unknown ship appearing from nowhere was the stuff of children's nightmares. "Admiral, we are detecting unusual energy signatures from the vessel," a technician called out. "The readings do not match any known power source." Kethra moved to his station. She studied the data streaming across the screen. The energy signature was irregular, fluctuating in ways that made no sense. Valorian ships used stable antimatter reactors. Crithian ships used plasma cores. Other species relied on fusion or even primitive fission. But this signature was different. It seemed to pulse and shift as if the ship itself was alive. "Could it be a weapon?" she asked. "Unknown, Admiral. Our sensors cannot penetrate the hull. Whatever material they used, it blocks our scans. That should not be possible." "I know, Admiral, but the readings are clear. We cannot see inside that ship." Kethra felt her scales prickle. Technology that blocked Valorian sensors did not exist. Even the Crithians, their greatest rivals, could not hide from Imperial scanning arrays. Yet this primitive-looking vessel somehow could. "Cruiser 1 is in position," Vossall reported. "They are attempting docking procedures." On the screen, the first cruiser moved alongside the unknown ship. A docking tube extended from the cruiser's hull, reaching toward the mysterious vessel. The tube contained a universal coupling system designed to interface with any known airlock design. "Cruiser 1 reports the coupling is not compatible," Vossall said. "The airlock design is completely foreign. They cannot establish a seal." "Then cut through the hull," Kethra ordered. "Carefully. I want a boarding team inside that ship within the hour." Before the order could be executed, every screen in the command center flickered. The image of the unknown ship changed. Symbols appeared on its hull, glowing with soft white light. They looked ancient, hand-drawn almost. Kethra recognized them immediately. Her breath caught in her throat. "Get me a linguist," she snapped. "Now." Within seconds, Scholar Prenix appeared on a secondary screen. He was old. His scales faded to pale gray. He had dedicated his life to studying ancient languages and dead civilizations. "Admiral, how may I serve?" "Look at these symbols. Tell me what they mean." Prenny adjusted his viewing lens. His eyes widened. "Admiral, these are ancient glyphs from the Trader tongue, a language that has not been used in over 2,000 cycles. It was the universal language before the modern galactic standard was adopted." "What do they say?" The old scholar traced the symbols with his finger on the screen. "They spell one word, Admiral. Human." Silence fell over the command center. Every officer stopped and stared at the screen. Kethra felt ice run through her veins. She knew that word. Every educated Valorian knew that word. "Pull up file designation preservation 38847, she ordered. The database search took only moments. A report appeared on the main screen. It was dated 300 cycles ago. A survey ship had discovered a small yellow star in a remote sector. The third planet from that star contained life, primitive life. The dominant species called themselves humans. They were bipedal mammals with no natural weapons, no armor, and no apparent special abilities. They lived in small groups and fought each other with metal weapons. Their technology was pre-industrial. The survey team had recommended placing the planet under the Preservation Directive, which forbade contact until the species reached spaceflight capability on their own. The Empire had agreed. The file was closed and forgotten. "This cannot be," Kethra whispered. The projections estimated humans would not achieve space travel for another 500 cycles. Their development rate was within normal parameters, slow but steady. "Admiral," Vossal interrupted, "the ship is broadcasting. Audio only. The signal is in perfect Valorian language. Put it through." A voice filled the command center. It was female, speaking Valorian with a slight accent. The tone was calm, even amused. "Valorian vessels, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Coalition ship Endeavor. We come in peace. We have been trying to contact you for the past 6 hours using what we thought were standard galactic frequencies. We apologize if we startled you. May I ask why you are pointing weapons at a diplomatic vessel?" The command center erupted into chaos. Officers shouted questions. Technicians checked and rechecked their equipment. Kethra stood frozen, staring at the image of the primitive-looking ship on her screen. Humans. Impossible backward humans. In space, speaking Valorian, with technology that could breach the quantum fold barrier. For the first time in her long career, Admiral Kethra did not know what to do. The High Council chamber was the most impressive room in the Empire. Built from crystal mined from the core of a dying star, its walls shimmered with every color imaginable. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing star maps, fleet positions, and economic data. 50 counselors sat in a circle around the central platform where speakers presented their cases. Each counselor represented a different sector of the Empire. Together, they advised the Emperor and made decisions that affected trillions of lives. Today, every seat was filled. No counselor wanted to miss this. Admiral Kethra stood on the central platform. She looked tired. She had not slept in 2 days. Behind her, the holographic image of the human ship rotated slowly. Next to it, a second image showed a human female, Captain Sarah Chen. Her image had been captured from her broadcast. She looked strange to Valorian eyes. Her skin was smooth without scales or fur. Her hair was dark and tied back. Her eyes were small, blue, and focused. She wore a uniform that was simple and functional. No decorations. No rank symbols that the Valorians could recognize. Just a patch on her shoulder showing a blue planet with green continents. "This is the human," Kethra said. "She calls herself a captain. Her ship is named Endeavor. She claims to represent something called the Terran Coalition." Councillor Vrenthar, an old politician known for his aggressive views, leaned forward. "How is this possible, Admiral? Our records clearly state that humans were primitive 300 cycles ago. Pre-industrial. They had barely discovered electricity." "I do not know, Councillor. But the evidence is clear. They are here, in space, with technology we do not fully understand." "What do you mean, do not understand?" another counselor asked. Kethra pulled up a new display. Our sensors cannot penetrate their hull. Their power signature matches nothing in our database. They breached our quantum fold barrier, which should be impossible, and they speak perfect Valorian, despite having no previous contact with our species. The council chamber filled with worried whispers. Kethra continued. Captain Chen has requested an audience with Imperial leadership. She says she carries official greetings from her government. She wants to establish diplomatic relations. Diplomatic relations? Vrenthar laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. With primitives? This is absurd. We should capture their ship, study their technology, and place their planet under Imperial control before they become a problem. I advise against that course of action, Kethra said firmly. We do not know their capabilities. This may be a scout ship. There may be others. Admiral, they are humans. According to our files, they are weak creatures with short lifespans. What threat could they possibly pose? Before Kethra could answer, a message appeared on her personal display. Her eyes widened. Counselors, I have just received new information from our intelligence division. It seems Captain Chen was truthful about one thing. She is not alone. The main holographic display changed. It showed a star map of nearby sectors. 3 different locations glowed with red markers. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected human settlements in these 3 systems. All outside Valorian space. All established within the last 10 cycles. We never detected them because we were not looking. We assumed humans were still on their homeworld. Silence fell over the chamber. 50 counselors stared at the map. 3 settlements. 3 entire colonies that had been built without the Empire's knowledge. The Emperor himself entered the chamber through a side door. Everyone stood immediately. Emperor Tharnix was ancient, over 200 cycles old. His scales had faded to silver. He moved slowly, supported by 2 guards, but his eyes were still sharp and intelligent. He had ruled the Empire for 80 cycles. He had seen much, but even he looked troubled. Bring the human here, the Emperor said. His voice was quiet but commanding. I will speak with her myself. 2 days later, Captain Sarah Chen stood in the same chamber where Admiral Kethra had presented her report. She looked small and fragile compared to the massive Valorian counselors around her. She wore the same simple uniform. No weapons, no guards. She stood alone in the center of the chamber, looking calm. Too calm, Kethra thought. The Admiral stood near the Emperor's throne, watching carefully. This human should be terrified. She was surrounded by beings twice her size, in the heart of an empire that controlled 10,000 star systems. Yet she showed no fear. Captain Chen, the Emperor began. Welcome to Valoria Prime. I apologize for the initial misunderstanding at Hesperus 7. Sarah smiled. No apology necessary, Your Majesty. We should have announced our arrival more clearly. We are still learning galactic protocols. Learning quickly, it seems. Your Valorian is perfect. We had good teachers. We found one of your old survey beacons about 8 years ago. It contained language files and basic information about the major galactic powers. We have been studying ever since. 8 years. Vrenthar interrupted. Impossible. It takes decades to master Valorian properly. Sarah turned to face him. I apologize, Counselor, but I do not know your name. I am Counselor Vrenthar, representative of the military sectors. A pleasure to meet you, Counselor. To answer your question, humans have developed advanced learning techniques and neural enhancement technology. We can learn languages much faster than before. Currently, I speak 17 different Earth languages and 5 galactic languages. Neural enhancement, Scholar Prenix spoke up. He had been invited to attend the meeting. You mean you have modified your own brains? In a manner of speaking? We use nanotechnology to improve memory and learning speed. It is completely safe and reversible. The counselors whispered among themselves. Nanotechnology was not unknown in the Empire, but using it to modify organic brains was considered dangerous. Most species had tried and failed. The risk of damage was too high. Captain Chen, the Emperor said, I will be direct. How did your species advance so quickly? 300 cycles ago, you had not even reached your own moon. Now you breach our most advanced defenses and establish colonies across multiple sectors. This rate of development is unprecedented. Sarah nodded. Your Majesty, humans have always been good at 2 things. We learn quickly, and we refuse to accept limitations. When we discovered we were not alone in the universe, it changed everything. We united as a species for the first time in our history. Every nation, every government, every corporation focused on one goal: Reaching the stars before we destroyed ourselves. Destroyed yourselves? The Emperor asked. Yes, Your Majesty. We are not a peaceful species. We have fought wars for thousands of years. We nearly ended our own civilization multiple times with nuclear weapons, biological plagues, and environmental destruction. Space exploration gave us a new purpose, a new frontier. It saved us from ourselves. Admiral Kethra stepped forward. Captain, our intelligence shows you have colonies in 3 different sectors. How many ships does Earth have? Sarah's smile widened slightly. That is classified information, Admiral. But I can tell you that Endeavour is not our most advanced vessel. It is actually one of our older models. We keep it in service because it has proven reliable. The chamber erupted. Counselors shouted questions. If this was an old ship, what did their new ships look like? How many did they have? What weapons did they carry? The Emperor raised one hand. Silence fell immediately. Captain Chen, what does your government want? We want peace, Your Majesty. We want trade agreements, cultural exchange, and mutual defense treaties. We know the galaxy is dangerous. We have already encountered hostile species. We would prefer to have friends rather than enemies. And if we refuse? Frenthar asked coldly. Sarah met his eyes without flinching. Then we will remain neutral and focus on our own territories. But I would remind the Council that humanity survived and thrived on a planet that tried to kill us every day. Ice ages, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, plagues, predators, and our own violence. We are still here. We are adaptable. We are persistent. And we do not give up. The Emperor studied her for a long moment. You make your species sound formidable, Captain. I make us sound honest, Your Majesty. We know we are young compared to the Empire. We have much to learn, but we are not weak. And we are not going away. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the palace. Admiral Kethra received an urgent message. Her face went pale. Your Majesty, she said urgently, we have just received reports from the human colony called New Horizon. The Crithian Dominion has launched an attack. They are attempting to conquer the settlement. Every eye turned to Sarah. Her calm expression never changed. But something cold appeared in her eyes. Something dangerous. How long ago? She asked quietly. The attack began 4 hours ago, Kethra replied. Sarah touched a small device on her wrist. She spoke in a language the Valorians did not recognize. English. Her native tongue. The conversation was brief. When she finished, she looked at the Emperor. Your Majesty, I need to return to my ship immediately. But before I go, I want you to know something. The Crithians made a mistake. New Horizon is home to 50,000 humans. 20,000 of them are former military personnel. They are armed, trained, and very angry. Additionally, 47 Terran warships will arrive at New Horizon within 18 hours. 47? Vrenthar whispered. Sarah smiled, but it was not a friendly expression. Did I forget to mention? Earth's policy is very simple. The Crithian battle fleet arrived at New Horizon with confidence. Commander Zalthek stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Talon, watching the human colony grow larger on the view screen. It looked pathetic. Small domes scattered across the surface of a rocky moon, a few orbital stations, mining equipment. Nothing impressive. This will be quick, Zalthek said to his officers. The humans are primitives playing at civilization. We will teach them their place. The Crithians were a warrior species. Their empire was smaller than the Valorian Empire, but their military was fierce. They had fought countless wars across the centuries. They had conquered 17 different species. They believed in strength above all else. When they heard about humans establishing colonies near their territory, they saw it as an insult. These newcomers needed to be put in their place. Open fire on the orbital stations, Zalthex commanded. Destroy them all. Plasma beams lanced through space. The first orbital station exploded in a ball of fire. The second station tried to move but was too slow. It broke apart under the bombardment. The third station activated shields, but they failed within seconds. Crithian weapons were powerful and proven in battle. The orbitals are destroyed, Commander, his tactical officer reported. Minimal resistance. The humans are running. Of course they are running, Zalthex laughed. They are weak. Prepare landing forces. We will claim this colony for the Dominion. 10 transport ships descended toward the moon's surface. Each carried 200 Crithian soldiers. They were heavily armed and armored. They had fought against species far more dangerous than humans. This would be easy. The transports landed near the largest dome. The doors opened and soldiers poured out, weapons ready. They expected to find terrified civilians. Instead, they found an empty plaza. "No humans anywhere. Where are they?" a soldier asked. The answer came in the form of an explosion. The transport they had just left erupted in flames. Then another explosion. And another. Within seconds, all 10 transports were burning wreckage. "Ambush!" someone shouted. Gunfire erupted from every direction. But it was not the plasma weapons the Crithians expected. These were chemical projectile weapons. Primitive bullets. They should not have been able to penetrate Crithian armor. But somehow they did. Soldiers began falling. "Return fire," an officer screamed. The Crithians fired their plasma rifles at the buildings. Windows shattered. Walls crumbled. But the human fire did not stop. It came from everywhere and nowhere. The Crithians could not see their enemy. "They are using the buildings as cover," another officer realized. "They know the terrain. We do not." More Crithians fell. Their armor, which had protected them in dozens of battles, seemed useless against human weapons. The bullets found weak points, joints, seals, vision ports. These humans knew exactly where to aim. "Fall back to the landing zone," the commanding officer ordered. But there was no landing zone anymore. Just burning wreckage. The Crithians were trapped in an urban environment against an enemy they could not see. Then the humans showed themselves. They emerged from buildings, from underground tunnels, from behind barricades that had been prepared in advance. They wore simple combat armor. They carried weapons that looked basic compared to Crithian plasma rifles. But they moved with precision and discipline. These were not civilians. These were soldiers. One human stepped forward from the group. He was older, with gray hair and scars on his face. He carried an old rifle and wore a jacket with patches on it. He spoke in Crithian language. "I am Colonel Marcus Webb, formerly of the United Earth Defense Forces. I am now governor of New Horizon Colony. You have attacked a civilian settlement in violation of galactic law. Surrender your weapons and you will be treated as prisoners of war. Resist and you will be eliminated." The Crithian officer laughed. "You think we will surrender to primitives? We are Crithian warriors. We have conquered entire worlds." Colonel Webb sighed. "I was hoping you would say that." "Fire teams, execute Plan Delta." The humans opened fire with coordinated precision. They did not spray bullets wildly. Each shot was aimed and controlled. Crithians fell in perfect sequence. Their return fire hit nothing but empty air. The humans had already moved to new positions. Within 10 minutes, the Crithian landing force was destroyed. 200 soldiers dead or captured, not a single human casualty. Back in orbit, Commander Zalthek stared at his screens in disbelief. Impossible. How could primitives defeat trained Crithian warriors? "Commander, we are receiving a transmission from the colony," his communications officer reported. "Put it through." Colonel Webb appeared on the screen. He looked calm. Behind him, captured Crithian soldiers knelt with their hands bound. "Commander Zalthek's, I presume. Let me explain something about humans. We have been fighting wars for 10,000 years. We have perfected the art of killing each other. Many of the colonists here are veterans of Earth's military forces. We have fought in jungles, deserts, cities, and mountains. We know urban warfare. We know guerrilla tactics. We know how to turn any environment into a killing ground." Zalthex felt rage building in his chest. "You will pay for this, human. I have 12 warships. I will burn your colony to ashes." "You could try," Webb said. "But I should mention something. About 4 hours ago, New Horizons sent a distress signal. The Terran Coalition takes attacks on our people very seriously. You have maybe 12 hours before our fleet arrives. If I were you, I would leave now while you still can." "I do not run from primitives," Zalthex roared. He cut the transmission and turned to his officers. "Prepare orbital bombardment. We will destroy the entire colony from space." His tactical officer looked nervous. "Commander, bombardment of civilian targets is considered a war crime under galactic law. The Valorian Empire might intervene. Let them. The humans started this by establishing colonies in our territory. We are simply defending what is ours." The Crithian ships moved into bombardment positions, their weapons locked onto the colony below. But before they could fire, new contacts appeared on their sensors. Ships were emerging from faster-than-light travel. Many ships. "Commander, we are detecting 47 vessels incoming. They are broadcasting Terran Coalition identification codes. 47. Exactly as the human colonel had said. Zalthex felt his confidence waver. "What class of ships?" "Unknown, Commander. Our sensors cannot identify them. They do not match any known design patterns. The human fleet spread out in a perfect formation. They did not attack immediately. Instead, they waited. One ship moved forward ahead of the others. It was larger than a Crythian cruiser but smaller than a battleship. Its hull was dark gray with white markings. A transmission came through. This time it was a different human, a woman with dark hair and a captain's uniform. Zalthex recognized her from intelligence reports. Captain Sarah Chen, Crythian vessels, this is Captain Chen of the TCS Endeavor. You have attacked a civilian colony in violation of multiple galactic treaties. You have killed innocent people and destroyed civilian infrastructure. You have one chance to surrender peacefully. Zalthex laughed. I have 12 warships, human. You may have numbers, but we have superior firepower and centuries of combat experience. Sarah's expression did not change. I gave you a chance. Remember that. The transmission ended. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the human fleet attacked. It was not like any space battle Zalthex had ever seen. The humans did not charge forward in formation. They did not exchange broadside fire like civilized navies. Instead, they moved like a swarm of insects. Fast. Unpredictable. Their ships split into groups and attacked from multiple angles at once. Crythian plasma cannons fired. But the human ships dodged with impossible agility. Their ships were smaller and faster than anything Zalthex had faced before. They used their speed as a weapon, darting in and out of range before his gunners could track them properly. Then the humans returned fire. Their weapons were strange. Not plasma or lasers, something else. Missiles that moved far too fast. Energy beams that cut through shields like they were not even there. And something new, something terrifying. One Crythian cruiser simply disappeared. It was there one moment and gone the next. Not destroyed, just gone, vanished into empty space. What happened to the Venom strike? Zalthex demanded. Unknown, Commander. Our sensors show a massive spatial distortion at its last position. It is as if the ship was pulled into another dimension. Another cruiser disappeared. Then another. The Crythians fired desperately, but they could not hit the fast-moving human ships. Meanwhile, Crythian vessels kept disappearing or exploding or simply going dark as their systems failed. They are using some kind of wormhole weapon, the science officer shouted. They are teleporting our ship somewhere. Where? Zalthex screamed, I do not know. The calculations required for that technology should be impossible. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, 6 Crythian ships had been destroyed. 4 had disappeared into whatever dark dimension the humans had sent them. 2 had surrendered. Only Zalthex's flagship remained operational, and barely. Sarah Chen's face appeared on his screen again. Commander, your fleet is defeated. Your landing force is captured. Your bombardment failed. Now News of the Battle of New Horizons spread across the galaxy within days. Every species heard the story. The Crythian Dominion, one of the most powerful military forces in known space, had been humiliated by a species that had only been in space for 15 years. Some species laughed. Others worried. The Valorian Empire did neither. They calculated that Emperor Tharnik sat in his private chambers reading reports. Admiral Kethra stood nearby waiting for his response. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of holographic displays. 47 ships, the Emperor said finally. They deployed 47 ships to rescue one colony. What does that tell us, Admiral? That they have more ships, Your Majesty. Many more. If they can spare 47 for a single colony defense, their total fleet must be significant. And these weapons. Wormhole technology. Our scientists say it should be impossible. Kethra nodded. Human technology is advancing at a rate we cannot predict. What seems impossible today may be common for them tomorrow. Their learning curve is exponential, not linear. The Emperor set down his tablet. We have a choice to make. We can treat humans as potential enemies, which means an arms race we may not win, or we can treat them as potential allies. Councillor Vrenthar will oppose an alliance. He sees humans as a threat. Councillor Vrenthar sees threats everywhere. That is why he is useful. Fear keeps us alert. But fear without wisdom leads to mistakes. The Crythians learned that lesson. A chime sounded. The Emperor's secretary entered and bowed. Your Majesty, Captain Chen has returned to Valoria Prime. She requests an audience. Show her in. Sarah entered moments later. She looked tired but composed. She bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, thank you for seeing me. Captain Chen, I hear your colony successfully defended itself against Crythian aggression. Yes, Your Majesty. with minimal casualties on our side. The Crithians suffered significant losses. We have returned their prisoners and offered medical assistance. You returned your prisoners? Kethra asked, surprised. After they attacked your colony? Yes, Admiral. We do not believe in needless cruelty. The soldiers were following orders. We hold no grudge against them personally. We did, however, make it very clear that future attacks will not be tolerated. The Emperor studied her carefully. You are a fascinating species, Captain. You fight with brutal efficiency, yet show mercy to defeated enemies. You develop weapons that violate known physics, yet you establish colonies focused on farming and research. You claim to be peaceful, yet you destroyed a Crithian battle fleet in under an hour. Who are humans, truly? Sarah thought for a moment before answering. Your Majesty, humans are contradictions. We are capable of great kindness and terrible violence. We build and we destroy. We love and we hate. What makes us human is that we are always both things at once. We fight wars to achieve peace. We develop weapons to protect the weak. We are aggressive because our history taught us that passive species become extinct. On Earth, every major predator was stronger than us, faster than us, had better weapons than us. We survived by being smarter, more adaptable, and more willing to work together when needed. We are not the biggest or the strongest species, but we refuse to lose. That is what makes us human. The Emperor leaned back in his throne. I have decided to offer humanity a formal alliance. The Valorian Empire and the Terran Coalition will sign a mutual defense treaty. We will share technology, establish trade routes, and support each other against common threats. Sarah's eyes widened slightly. Your Majesty, that is incredibly generous. But I must ask, why? What does the Empire gain from an alliance with such a young civilization? Honestly, Captain? We gain the assurance that you will not become our enemy. After seeing what you did to the Crithians, I would prefer to have humans fighting beside us rather than against us. The galaxy is large and dangerous. Strong allies are valuable. There is also another reason, Admiral Kethra added. Human innovation. You advance faster than any species we have encountered. An alliance gives us access to that innovation. We can learn from each other, Sarah smiled. I accept on behalf of the Terran Coalition, pending approval from our government. But I should warn you, Your Majesty. Allying with humans comes with certain expectations. We do not tolerate slavery. We do not permit genocide. We intervene when civilians are threatened. These are not negotiable positions. The Valorian Empire abolished slavery 4,000 cycles ago, the Emperor said. We have laws against genocide and war crimes. Our values may be more compatible than you think. Then I believe we have the foundation for a strong alliance. The formal treaty was signed 3 weeks later. Representatives from both governments met on a neutral station. The ceremony was broadcast across Valorian space. Many citizens were curious about their new allies. Some were excited. Others were nervous. Councillor Vrenthar was furious. He stood in the High Council chamber addressing his fellow councillors with barely controlled anger. This is madness. We are allying with primitives who have been in space for only 15 years. They are unpredictable, violent, and potentially dangerous. Scholar Prenix, the old linguist, replied calmly. They are also innovative, adaptable, and surprisingly honorable. They returned Crithian prisoners when they could have executed them. They offered medical aid to those who attacked them. These are not the actions of mindless barbarians. They destroyed 6 Crithian warships and teleported 4 others to unknown dimensions. They could do the same to us. They could, the Emperor said, entering the chamber. But they will not. Because we are not attacking their colonies. We are not threatening their people. The humans have shown they respond to aggression with overwhelming force and to diplomacy with genuine cooperation. We would be fools to choose aggression when cooperation is offered freely. Vrenthar was not satisfied. Your Majesty, with respect, you are gambling the Empire's future on these creatures. What if they betray us? What if their rapid advancement makes them decide they no longer need allies? Then we will deal with that problem when it arrives, the Emperor said. For now, the alliance serves both our interests. And, Counselor, I suggest you visit one of their colonies. Meet these humans yourself. You may be surprised. Vrenthar did exactly that. 3 weeks after the treaty was signed, he traveled to a human agricultural colony called Green Haven. He went expecting to find crude settlements and unsophisticated people. What he found shocked him. Green Haven was beautiful. The colony had been built around the natural landscape rather than bulldozing through it. Farms used advanced hydroponics and genetic engineering to produce crops that fed millions. Cities were clean and efficient. with architecture that blended multiple Earth cultures into something unique. The people were diverse, representing different skin colors, languages, and traditions, all working together. Vrenthar met with the colony's administrator, a woman named Dr. Amara Okafor. She was a scientist who specialized in terraforming and ecological engineering. She showed him projects that were decades ahead of anything the Valorians were attempting. "How did you achieve this level of terraforming in only 6 years?" Vrenthar asked, studying a thriving forest that should not exist on this planet's harsh environment. Dr. Okafor smiled. "Trial and error, counselor. We failed many times before we succeeded. But humans are good at learning from failure. Every mistake teaches us something new. This technology could transform barren worlds across the Empire. We would be happy to share it. That is the point of an alliance, yes? We help each other." Vrenthar spent 3 days on Greenhaven. He met farmers, engineers, teachers, and soldiers. He ate human food, which was surprisingly good. He watched human children playing games that reminded him of Valorian childhood traditions. He began to understand something important. Humans were not so different from other species. They had families. They had hopes and dreams. They built communities and worked for better futures. Yes, they were capable of violence. But so was every species that had survived long enough to reach space. What made humans unique was not their violence. It was their optimism. Despite their brutal history, despite all the wars and disasters and near extinctions, humans still believed tomorrow could be better than today. They still reached for the stars with hope instead of fear. When Vrenthar returned to Valoria Prime, he requested a private meeting with the Emperor. "Your Majesty, I was wrong. The alliance was the correct decision. Humans are not a threat to be contained. They are a resource to be valued." "What changed your mind, Counselor?" "I met a human child on Greenhaven. She was maybe 8 cycles old. She was studying xenobiology, learning about Valorian culture and dozens of other species. When I asked her why, she said she wanted to be a diplomat when she grew up. She wanted to help different species understand each other. An 8-cycle-old child had dreams of galactic peace. That kind of optimism is rare in the galaxy, Your Majesty. We should protect it, not destroy it." The Emperor smiled. "I am pleased you understand. The galaxy needs hope. Humanity brings that in abundance. But not everyone in the galaxy was pleased with the new alliance. In the Crithian capital, military leaders gathered to discuss their humiliating defeat. Supreme Commander Kralix addressed the War Council with cold fury. "The humans embarrassed us. They made the Crithian Dominion look weak in front of the entire galaxy. This cannot stand. We will rebuild our fleet." The war began at a place called the Divide. It was a neutral sector between Crithian and Valorian space. 3 jump gates connected the sector to the rest of the galaxy. Whoever controlled the Divide controlled trade routes that affected trillions of credits in commerce. The Crithians attacked with overwhelming force, hoping to take the sector before the Alliance could respond. They were wrong. Supreme Commander Kralix led the Crithian fleet personally. 200 warships, the largest fleet the Dominion had assembled in 50 years. He stood on the bridge of his super dreadnought, the Endless War, watching the Divide grow closer on his view screens. "This time will be different," he told his officers. "We have prepared. We have studied human tactics. We will not be caught off guard again." The Crithian fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. Battle groups spread out, covering all approach vectors. Fighters launched. Shields activated. Every ship was ready. Then the humans and Valorians arrived. The Alliance fleet was smaller. Only 100 ships total. 50 Valorian cruisers and 50 human vessels. But what they lacked in numbers, they made up for in coordination. The 2 fleets moved as one, their formations interlocking like puzzle pieces. Admiral Kethra commanded the Valorian forces from her flagship. Captain Chen commanded the human forces from a new ship, the TCS Defiance. It was larger than the Endeavor, built specifically for fleet combat. The 2 commanders maintained constant communication, their tactics flowing seamlessly from one to the other. Crithian forces detected, Kethra's tactical officer reported. 200 ships. They outnumber us 2 to 1. "Numbers are not everything," Kethra replied. She opened a channel to Sarah. "Captain Chen, are your forces ready?" "Ready and waiting, Admiral. Let's show them what cooperation looks like." The battle began with the Crithians attacking first. Their plasma cannons fired in coordinated volleys, designed to overwhelm defensive shields. It was a standard Krithian tactic that had worked for centuries. The Alliance fleet scattered. Valorian ships peeled left. Human ships peeled right. The plasma volleys hit empty space. Before the Krithians could adjust their aim, the counterattack began. Valorian ships had superior shields and firepower. They drew Krithian attention, absorbing damage while their weapons pounded enemy vessels. Meanwhile, human ships darted through the chaos like sharks through water. They were smaller and faster than Valorian cruisers, able to slip through gaps in Krithian formations. Human tactics were unlike anything the Krithians had faced. They did not fight with honor or follow predictable patterns. They attacked from unexpected angles. They used debris fields as cover. They fired missiles that split into dozens of smaller warheads, overwhelming point defense systems. They were unpredictable, creative, and ruthlessly efficient. Kralix watched as his fleet struggled to adapt. They are fighting like pirates, not honorable warriors. Commander, 3 of our battle groups have been disabled. The humans are targeting our engines, leaving us helpless but alive. They should be destroying us, not crippling us. What kind of warfare is this? The answer came over an open channel. Sarah Chen's voice broadcast to the entire Krithian fleet. Krithian forces, this is Captain Chen. We are disabling your ships rather than destroying them because we are not here to commit genocide. We are here to teach a lesson. Surrender now and your crews will be treated with respect. Continue fighting and we will remove your ability to fight. The choice is yours. Never! Kralix roared. All ships concentrate fire on the human flagship. Kill their commander. 50 Krithian ships turned their weapons toward the Defiance. The firepower would have been enough to vaporize a small moon. But the human ship did not run. Instead, it activated a weapon the Krithians had not seen before. Space itself seemed to bend around the Defiance. The plasma bolts curved away, redirected by some kind of gravitational field. Instead of hitting their target, the shots veered off and struck Krithian ships in friendly fire. What is that? Kralix demanded. Some kind of localized gravity manipulation, his science officer replied, his voice filled with awe and fear. They are bending space-time around their ship. Our weapons cannot touch them. The Defiance did not just defend. It attacked. A beam of purple energy shot from its main cannon. The beam did not explode on impact. Instead, it passed through the shields of a Krithian cruiser like they did not exist. The ship's systems went dark. Dead in space. Not destroyed, but completely disabled. Sarah's voice came through again. That was a neural disruptor beam. It shuts down electronic systems without harming organic crew. We can do this to every ship in your fleet, Commander. Or you can surrender and save your people. Kralix felt something he had never felt before in his long military career. Desperation. The humans were not just winning. They were making it look easy. They had weapons and tactics the Krithians could not counter. And worse, they were showing mercy, which made them seem even more powerful. All ships, he said quietly. Retreat, fall back to Krithian space. Commander, we cannot retreat. Our honor will not matter if we are all dead. Retreat now. That is an order. The Krithian fleet began pulling back. Human and Valorian ships pursued but did not press the attack. They were content to drive the enemy away. As the Krithians jumped to faster-than-light speed, they left behind 15 disabled ships and thousands of crew members in escape pods. The Alliance fleet began rescue operations immediately. They treated wounded Krithians with the same care they would give their own people. They provided food, water, and medical attention. The Krithian prisoners were confused. They had expected to be tortured or executed. Instead, they were treated like guests. One Krithian soldier, wounded and frightened, asked his human medic, "Why are you helping us?" "We attacked you." The medic, a young woman named Lieutenant Park, smiled gently. "Because you are injured and we are not monsters. War is terrible enough without adding cruelty. You are someone's son, someone's friend. You deserve medical care regardless of which side you fight for." The soldier stared at her, trying to understand. Humans made no sense to him. They fought with brutal efficiency but showed kindness to defeated enemies. They had weapons that could destroy planets but used them to disable ships instead. They were contradictions, impossible to predict or understand. Back on their homeworlds, both sides assessed the battle. The Krithians had lost decisively. Their casualties were relatively low, but their pride was shattered. The Alliance had proven that superior numbers meant nothing against superior coordination and technology. Emperor Tharnix met with his military council to discuss the victory. The Alliance worked perfectly. Human tactics combined with Valorian firepower created a force greater than the sum of its parts. The humans continue to surprise us, Admiral Kethra said. Their gravity manipulation technology should not be possible. Yet they deployed it in battle as if it were routine. Where do they get these innovations? A counselor asked. Kethra pulled up a report. According to Captain Chen, human scientists work in highly competitive environments. Universities, corporations, and government labs all race to develop new technology. They share basic research freely but compete to create practical applications. This competition drives rapid innovation. Competition? The Valorian Empire shares all scientific research among our people. We cooperate, not compete. Yes, and our research advances steadily but slowly. Humans advance through creative chaos. Both systems have merit, but in terms of speed, the human method is clearly effective. The Emperor nodded thoughtfully. We have much to learn from our allies. Admiral, I want you to establish a joint research station where human and Valorian scientists can work together. We will combine our methods and see what develops. An excellent idea, Your Majesty. On Earth, the Terran Coalition Council met to discuss the war. They gathered in Geneva, in a building that had once hosted peace negotiations during humanity's bloodiest conflicts. Now it hosted discussions about galactic warfare. Secretary General Okonkwo addressed the council. The Battle of the Divide was a success, but the war is not over. The Crithians will rebuild and attack again. We must prepare for a long conflict. Our production facilities are already working at maximum capacity, the defense minister reported. We are building 30 new warships per month. Our shipyards on Luna, Mars, and Titan are all operational. What about the new weapon systems? The neural disruptors performed perfectly. The gravity shields exceeded expectations. We are also developing something new. Project Helios. It uses focused solar energy as a weapon. Initial tests are promising. What are our casualties so far? 0 fatalities in the Battle of the Divide. 12 injuries, all minor. Our tactics of disabling enemy ships rather than destroying them have proven effective both militarily and morally. A counselor from the European Union spoke up. I am concerned about the long-term implications. We are showing the galaxy that humans are formidable warriors. Will this make other species fear us? Will they see us as a threat? Secretary General Okonkwo considered the question carefully.
Fear is inevitable when you display strength.
But respect comes from how you use that strength. We have treated PRI. The stars had never seemed so close yet so threatening. Captain Sarah Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Endeavor's Hope, watching the viewing screen with a mixture of wonder and growing concern. After 200 years of dreaming, humanity had finally broken the light barrier and reached beyond their solar system. They had traveled to Alpha Centauri, hoping to find new worlds, new resources, and perhaps even new friends among the stars. They found something else entirely. The alien ships appeared without warning. One moment, the scanners showed empty space. The next, 12 massive vessels materialized around the human exploration ship like predators surrounding prey. Each alien craft dwarfed the Endeavor's Hope, their hulls gleaming with colors that seemed to shift and change in ways that hurt human eyes to watch. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stepped forward, smoothing her formal jacket with nervous hands. This was the moment humanity had prepared for since the first radio telescopes pointed skyward. First contact, the beginning of Earth's journey into a larger galactic community. Open a channel, she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear she felt. All frequencies. Let them know we come in peace. The communication officer nodded and activated the broadcast. Elena took a deep breath and began speaking the carefully prepared greeting that had been written by linguists, diplomats, and scientists from every nation on Earth. Greetings from the people of Earth. We are explorers and seekers of knowledge. We come with open hearts and extended hands, hoping to learn from you and share what we know. We mean you no harm and wish only for peaceful contact and friendship among the stars. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then the main view screen flickered to life. The alien that appeared was tall and reptilian, with scales that shimmered like polished bronze. Its eyes were vertical slits of burning orange, and when it spoke, its mouth revealed rows of sharp teeth. The translation software struggled for a moment before finding patterns in the alien's language. I am Commander Velkoth of the Zrathi Empire, speaking for the Galactic Concordat, the alien said. Its voice carried a tone that made Elena's skin crawl. It was the sound of someone talking to an insect they were deciding whether to crush We have been watching your pathetic world for 60 of your years. We know what you are. Elena felt her diplomatic smile falter. This was not going as planned. Then you know we are a young species eager to learn and grow. We hope to join the galactic community as friends and partners. Velkoth made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter, though it sounded more like rocks grinding together. Join partners? The alien leaned forward, its massive form filling the screen. You misunderstand your position, human. The Concordat does not accept warlike primitives into its ranks. We have seen your history. Your endless conflicts, your weapons, your violence. You are children playing with fire, and you have no place among civilized species. Captain Mitchell's hands clenched into fists at her sides, but Elena raised a hand slightly, signaling her to remain calm. Every species has a violent past, Elena replied carefully. We have grown beyond our wars. We have united our world and reached for the stars together. Surely that counts for something. United? Velkoth's eyes narrowed. You achieved global peace only 40 years ago, after nearly destroying yourselves with atomic weapons. The Zrathi achieved peace 3,000 years before your species learned to make fire. The youngest member of the Concordat had been exploring space for 2 millennia, before your ancestors left the trees. You are not ready. You may never be ready. Another voice joined the conversation. The screen split to show a different alien, this one resembling a floating jellyfish with dozens of tentacles and bioluminescent patterns pulsing across its transparent body. The Concordat Council has reviewed Earth's development, it said in a softer, almost sad tone. While we acknowledge your recent progress, the majority opinion is clear. Humanity poses a potential threat to galactic stability. A threat? Elena's diplomatic composure began to crack. We have 12 exploration ships, 12. How could we possibly threaten a civilization that spans the galaxy? Velkoth's grin widened. Those scattered metal ships of yours are already a concern. Primitive kinetic weapons, nuclear reactors that leak radiation, clumsy faster-than-light engines that tear holes in subspace like a child ripping paper. You do not even understand the damage you cause with your crude technology. The jellyfish-like alien continued. The Concordat has reached a decision. Humanity will remain confined to the Sol system. Your 12 ships will return to Earth immediately. Any human vessel detected beyond the heliopause will be considered an act of aggression and dealt with accordingly. You cannot be serious, Captain Mitchell said, stepping forward before Elena could stop her. You are putting us under house arrest? Our entire species. We call it protective quarantine, Velkoth replied. Consider yourselves fortunate. The Zrathi voted to simply eliminate your species before you became a problem. The Council overruled us, for now. The commander's eyes gleamed with something that might have been disappointment. You have one of your months to recall all human vessels. After that, any ship we find will be destroyed. This is not a negotiation. This is a warning. Elena's mind raced, trying to find words, arguments, anything that might change their minds. Please give us a chance. Send observers to Earth. See what we have become. Test us. There must be some way we can prove ourselves worthy of joining the galactic community. The jellyfish alien's lights flickered in a pattern that suggested sadness. Perhaps in a few thousand years, young humans. If you survive that long, if you do not destroy yourselves first. The screen flickered and went dark. The Concordat ships remained for another hour, their sensors scanning every inch of the Endeavor's hope as if cataloging a museum piece. Then without ceremony they vanished as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving the human vessel alone in the darkness. The bridge was silent. Every crew member stared at their stations, processing what had just happened. Humanity's first contact with alien life, and they had been judged, found wanting, and dismissed like children. Elena turned to Captain Mitchell. Get me a secure channel to Earth, priority 1. The Secretary General needs to hear this immediately. Already on it, Ambassador, Mitchell replied, her fingers flying across her console. Then she paused and looked up. What do we do now? Elena looked out at the stars, at the vast universe that had just been declared off limits to her entire species. We go home. We tell them what happened, and then... She paused, remembering the dismissive tone in Velkoth's voice, the casual threat of destruction. Then we let the people who really make decisions figure out our next move. On Earth, the emergency meeting was already beginning. Leaders from every nation gathered in Geneva, listening to the recording of the first contact with expressions ranging from shock to anger to fear. But in a secure facility deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, a different group of people listened to the same recording with very different reactions. Admiral James Chen, commander of Earth's Deep Space Defense Initiative, leaned back in his chair and allowed himself a small smile. Around the conference table, his counterparts from other nations showed similar expressions. They had prepared for this scenario. They had hoped it would not come to pass, but they had prepared nonetheless. "Gentlemen, ladies," Chen said quietly, "I believe it is time to activate Protocol Heimdall. Let's show our new neighbors that they have made a very poor assessment of humanity's capabilities." In the outer solar system, beyond Neptune's orbit, hidden facilities that had been built in secret over the past 50 years began to wake up. Thousands of workers sworn to secrecy received coded messages and began their work. Shipyards the size of cities hummed to life. Weapon systems that made nuclear warheads look like firecrackers powered up for the first time. Humanity had been preparing for hostile first contact since the first UFO sightings of the 20th century. The governments of Earth had hoped for peace but planned for war. And now it seemed that planning was about to pay off. The Galactic Concordat had made their first mistake. They had underestimated humanity. Soon, they would learn the cost of that error. 6 months had passed since the humiliation at Alpha Centauri. To the watching eyes of the Galactic Concordat, humanity appeared to have accepted their place. The 12 exploration vessels had returned to Earth as ordered. The solar system's borders remained quiet. Humanity seemed to understand that they were confined to their home, at least for now, but appearances could be deceiving. Commander Velkoth stood in the central chamber of the Concordat Council Station, a massive structure that orbited between 3 stars in the Tyrian system. Around him, holographic projections showed representatives from 47 different species, each one a member of the Great Alliance that had kept peace in the galaxy for 10,000 years. "The human problem persists," Velkoth announced, his scales rippling with irritation. "Our scouts report small vessels appearing near our borders. They claim to be merchants, traders seeking to exchange goods with nearby systems. But we know the truth. They are testing us, probing our defenses." A bird-like alien with feathers that shimmered like oil on water chirped in response. "They are curious, nothing more. Young species always push boundaries. Give them time, and they will settle into their confinement." "Time?" Velkoth's voice rose. "How much time? 100 years? 1,000? Meanwhile, they continue to develop their primitive weapons, continue to spread their aggressive culture. I say we should act now, before they become a real threat." The jellyfish representative from the first contact floated in its tank projection. The council voted against aggressive action. "Humanity has not violated our ultimatum. They have remained within their system. These merchant vessels are legal under Concordat law. Any species may trade, even those not granted full membership." Velkoth hissed in frustration. "Those ships are gathering intelligence. Any fool can see that. They map our stations, record our patrol routes, study our technology. This is not innocent commerce. Then what do you propose?" asked a crystalline being whose body refracted light into rainbow patterns. "We cannot attack them for suspicious behavior. The Concordat is built on law, not paranoia." The Zrathi commander's eyes gleamed. "The humans have a new colony, Tauseti system. They call it New Horizon. It is beyond the Sol system boundary, a clear violation of our restrictions. I propose we enforce the quarantine. Destroy this illegal colony. Show them that we meant what we said." A murmur of discussion rippled through the council. Some species voiced concern, others agreement. Finally, the elder representative, a being so old its species name was lost to time, spoke from its place of honor. "The colony was established before our ultimatum was delivered. Technically, it does not violate our terms. However, we did say humanity must remain within Sol. The council must decide. Do we enforce the boundary strictly, or do we allow this single exception?" The vote was close, but in the end the aggressive faction won. The Zrathi were given permission to take action, though with restrictions. They could remove the colony, but they must offer the humans time to evacuate. No unnecessary deaths. This was to be a demonstration of power, not a massacre. Velkoth was satisfied. It was not everything he wanted, but it was a start. He would lead the fleet personally. 200 warships, a force capable of cracking planets. The humans would learn their lesson. 3 weeks later, the Concordat Armada arrived in the Tau Ceti system. The tactical display showed the colony on the 4th planet, a small settlement of perhaps 10,000 humans. Orbital stations surrounded it, along with mining operations on the system's asteroid belt. Defensive fleet detected, his tactical officer reported. 20 human frigates. They are moving to intercept. Velkoth laughed, the sound echoing through the command bridge of his flagship. 20 ships against 200? Are they insane or simply stupid? He opened a communication channel. Human vessels, you are ordered to stand down and evacuate your illegal colony. You have 12 of your hours to comply. After that, we will take action. The response came quickly. A human face appeared on screen, an older man with gray hair and calm eyes that seemed far too confident given the situation. This is Admiral James Chen of the Earth Defense Forces. Commander Velkoth, I recognize you from the records. You're the one who called us primitives. I called you what you are, Velkoth replied. Now move aside. Your 20 little ships cannot hope to stand against the might of the Concordat. Do not make this a tragedy. Chen smiled, and something about that smile made Velkoth's scales prickle with unexpected unease. You're right about one thing. Our 20 ships here cannot stop you. But you've made a terrible mistake, Commander. You've walked right into a trap. Trap? Velkoth almost laughed again. You cannot trap a fleet of this size. You barely have weapons that can damage our shields. Your kinetic weapons are— You talk too much, Chen interrupted, his smile widening. All ships, light them up. For a moment nothing happened. Then the tactical display went insane. Energy signatures blazed to life throughout the Tau Ceti system. Dozens, then hundreds of contacts appeared on the sensors. Behind asteroids, concealed near the system's outer planets, hidden in the debris field of a shattered moon, human warships revealed themselves. But these were not the small frigates the Concordat had expected. These were massive vessels, dreadnoughts and carriers that dwarfed even Velkoth's flagship. Their hulls were painted in dark colors that made them nearly invisible against the black of space. Advanced stealth systems dropped away, revealing weapons arrays that covered every surface. Impossible, Velkoth whispered. Where did they come from? His tactical officer's voice shook. Sir, I count over 600 human vessels. Correction, 700. 800. They are still appearing, Commander. They were here all along, hiding. Our sensors never detected them. The 20 human frigates that had seemed so outmatched suddenly split apart, no longer retreating but moving into attack formation. Behind them, the massive carriers began launching fighters. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands of small craft that swarmed through space like angry insects. Chen's face remained on screen, his expression calm. You see, Commander, humanity has been preparing for this moment for a very long time, since before we even achieved faster-than-light travel. We knew that when we reached the stars we might find friends. But we also knew we might find enemies. So we prepared. This is a trick, Velkoth snarled, but his voice lacked confidence. Some kind of holographic projection. You cannot have built so many ships in secret, can't we? Chen leaned back in his chair. Your scouts were watching Earth, our home planet. But you never thought to look at the rest of our solar system, did you? You never wondered what we were doing on Jupiter's moons, or in the asteroid belt, or in the vast darkness beyond Neptune's orbit. We had 50 years, Commander. 50 years of building in secret. 50 years of preparing for exactly this scenario. The human fleet began moving, their formations precise and coordinated. The smaller frigates engaged first, their railguns opening fire. The Concordat had dismissed these weapons as primitive, but the humans had clearly improved the design. Projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed hammered into Concordat shields. And to Velkoth's shock, those shields began to fail. How? He demanded. Your weapons should not be able to penetrate our defenses. Kinetic energy is kinetic energy, Chen replied. You use energy shields. Very advanced, very impressive. But our railguns fire solid projectiles designed to punch through asteroid cores during mining operations. Mass times velocity, Commander. Simple physics. Your shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not hypervelocity solid matter moving at a significant percentage of light speed. The human carriers had reached optimal range. Their fighter swarms descended on the Concordat fleet like locusts. Each small craft carried missiles and lasers, darting between the larger ships with incredible agility. They were too small and too numerous to target effectively. They are using drones, his tactical officer reported. Artificial intelligence controls. No living pilots to worry about. They can pull maneuvers that would kill any biological being. Velkoth's mind raced. This was not how it was supposed to go. They outnumbered the humans. They had superior technology. How were they losing? One of his escorts exploded, its reactor breached by a sustained railgun barrage. Then another. The human dreadnoughts were advancing now, their massive gun batteries tracking targets with terrifying accuracy. Each shot was carefully calculated, targeting weak points in the Concordat ship's armor. All ships, return fire, Velkoth ordered. Destroy them! The Concordat fleet responded, their energy weapons lancing through space. Some human ships took damage, their armor glowing red-hot under the assault. But there were so many of them, and they fought with a coordination that suggested they had trained for this exact battle for years. Chen's voice cut through the chaos. Commander Velkoth, I am offering you one chance to withdraw. Leave this system now and we will not pursue. Stay and we will destroy your entire fleet. The choice is yours. Never! Velkoth roared. The Concordat does not retreat from primitives. Your choice, Chen said quietly, and his image disappeared from the screen. The battle intensified. More Concordat ships fell, their hulls torn apart by weapons that should not have been able to harm them. The human fleet pressed their advantage, their tactics revealing decades of study and play. The news of the defeat at Tau Ceti spread through the galactic Concordat like wildfire through a dry forest. For the first time in recorded history, a fleet of 200 Concordat warships had been defeated. Not just defeated, but crushed. Out of those 200 ships, only 73 had escaped. The rest were destroyed or captured. The council chambers erupted into chaos. This is impossible, screamed the Vryn representative, their insectoid body vibrating with agitation. The humans have only had faster-than-light travel for 2 of their years. How could they have built such a fleet? The jellyfish representative pulsed with dark colors. We underestimated them. We assumed their visible fleet represented their total capabilities. We were wrong. Wrong. Velkoth stood in the center of the chamber, his scales dark with shame. He had survived the battle, but his pride had not. We were blind. The humans played us from the beginning. Those merchant vessels were not just gathering intelligence. They were positioning forces. Every system we thought was secure had human ships hidden nearby. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber, showing the tactical data from the Tau Ceti battle. The council members watched in silence as the human fleet revealed itself. Hundreds of warships appearing from nowhere, their weapons tearing through Concordat defenses. Freeze that image, ordered the elder, the ancient being who rarely spoke. Look at those vessels. Those are not ships built in a few years. Those dreadnoughts, those carriers. They would take decades to construct, even with advanced technology. A reptilian analyst stepped forward. Our intelligence division has completed their report. The humans did not build this fleet recently. According to our best estimates, they have been constructing these vessels for at least 50 standard years, possibly longer. 50 years? The bird-like alien ruffled its feathers in agitation. But they did not even have fusion power 50 years ago. They did not have it publicly, the analyst corrected. Our investigation suggests that human governments began classified military projects as far back as their 20th century. After they developed nuclear weapons, they created secret organizations dedicated to preparing for extraterrestrial contact. When they finally achieved fusion power and faster-than-light travel, these secret projects accelerated dramatically. Another display appeared, showing the human solar system. Red markers began appearing throughout the system, spreading from Earth to the outer planets and beyond. This is what we found when we conducted a thorough scan of the Sol system, the analyst continued. Facilities on Earth's moon, manufacturing complexes in the asteroid belt, massive shipyards hidden in the orbits of Jupiter and Saturn, construction platforms beyond Neptune that are larger than most of our space stations. The humans have industrialized their entire solar system in secret. The council members stared in shocked silence. The scale of what they were seeing was staggering. It represented not years but decades of work, an entire civilization mobilizing for a single purpose. Why? Asked the crystalline being. Why would they dedicate so much of their resources to building a war fleet? They had not even met us yet. Admiral Chen's message began playing on the displays. His face appeared calm and serious. Members of the Galactic Concordat, by now you have received reports of what happened at Tau Ceti. You are probably wondering how we managed to build such a fleet in secret. The answer is simple. We have been expecting you for a very long time. Chen stood and walked toward a window showing Earth behind him. In the year 1947, something happened on our world. Strange objects were seen in our skies. We did not know what they were, but we knew they were not ours. From that moment on, our governments began preparing for the day when we would meet whoever was watching us. The view changed, showing archived footage from human history, ancient radar installations, underground bunkers, scientists working on strange technology. We knew that when we finally reached the stars, we would meet other civilizations. We hoped they would be friendly. We prayed they would be peaceful. But we prepared for the possibility that they would not be. Every nation on Earth contributed. We pooled our knowledge, our resources, our determination. We built weapons and ships that we hoped we would never need to use. More footage appeared, massive construction projects in space, huge vessels being assembled in the darkness beyond the outer planets, weapons being tested on distant asteroids. We studied our own history and learned from it. Humanity has fought thousands of wars. We have made every possible mistake in combat. We have learned every lesson there is to learn about strategy, tactics, and survival. When you dismissed us as primitive, you forgot that primitive does not mean stupid, and violent does not mean incapable. Chen's expression hardened. You threatened us. You confined us to our home system like prisoners. You mocked our technology and called us unworthy. You judged us without trying to understand us. And when we placed a colony beyond your arbitrary boundary, you sent a fleet to destroy it. You forced our hand. The view returned to Chen's face. We are not seeking war with the Concordat, but we will not accept being caged. We will not allow you to dictate where humans can or cannot go. The galaxy is vast and there is room for all of us. But if you insist on treating us as enemies, then we will show you what humans do to their enemies. The message ended. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Finally, the elder spoke. How many ships do they have? The analyst checked their data. Based on the Tau Ceti engagement and subsequent intelligence, we estimate the human military fleet numbers between 2,000 and 3,000 vessels of various sizes. Possibly more. They have been launching new ships continuously from their hidden shipyards. 3,000 ships, someone whispered. That is more than the entire Zrathi armada. Belkoth's scales rippled with a mix of anger and something that might have been respect. They were hiding this capability the entire time. When we met them at Alpha Centauri, they already had this fleet. They allowed us to threaten them. They played weak. It is a human strategy, the analyst explained. From their own military history, they call it letting the enemy overextend. We thought we were dealing with a weak species with a dozen exploration ships. Instead, we were facing a military power that rivals any in the Concordat. A new message arrived, this time marked urgent. The analyst opened it and their expression changed to one of alarm. Council members, we are receiving reports from across Concordat space. Human fleets have appeared in 7 different systems simultaneously. They are not attacking, but they have taken up positions near our major trade routes and military installations. Another display activated, showing a map of Concordat territory. Red markers indicated human fleet positions. They were everywhere, positioned to strike at critical points throughout the Concordat's infrastructure. When did they move those ships into position? Demanded the Vryn representative. We do not know. Our sensors never detected them. Either their stealth technology is far more advanced than we believed, or they have been positioning these forces over several months, hidden and waiting. The elder leaned forward in its ancient seat. Show me the analysis of their weapons technology. More data appeared. Technical specifications of human railguns, their missile systems, their energy shields, their faster-than-light drives. The council members read the reports with growing concern. Their railgun technology is crude but effective, the analyst summarized. They use brute force rather than elegance. A solid projectile accelerated to tremendous velocity. Simple physics but devastatingly effective against our energy-based defenses. Our shields were designed to deflect or absorb energy weapons. They are far less effective against solid matter. What about their other systems? Their faster-than-light drives are less efficient than ours, but they work. Their energy shields are weaker, but adequate. Their missiles use artificial intelligence for guidance and can operate independently. They have also deployed thousands of combat drones, small craft with no living pilots. These drones can perform maneuvers that would kill any biological being. The crystalline being studied the data carefully. These are not the weapons of a primitive species. These are the weapons of a civilization that has spent decades, perhaps centuries, perfecting the art of war. That is because they have. the analyst confirmed. Human history is filled with conflict. They have fought each other constantly. Their last global war ended less than a century ago and killed millions. They have studied warfare intensely, because they have had to. Every tactic in their military doctrine was learned through actual combat. Velkoth spoke again, his voice quiet. I have reviewed the battle records. The way they fought at Tau Ceti, the coordination, the tactics, the precision. They knew exactly what they were doing. Every move was calculated. They have wargamed this scenario 1,000 times. We have a decision to make, the elder said. The humans have proven they are not the weak primitives we believed them to be. They have a military force capable of challenging the entire Concordat. They have demonstrated both their capability and their will. The Concordat Council had been debating for 3 days without reaching a decision. Some species wanted peace, others demanded war, and most simply wanted answers. How had they missed this threat? How had an entire civilization prepared for war under their very noses? The answer came in the worst possible way. A distress signal reached the council chambers from the Hevron system, home to one of the Concordat's largest military shipyards. The message was brief and terrifying. Human ships had appeared without warning and were attacking the facility. By the time reinforcements could arrive, it would be too late. Within an hour, 3 more systems sent similar messages. Human fleets striking simultaneously at military targets across Concordat space. The attacks were precise and coordinated, hitting fuel depots, shipyards, and command stations while carefully avoiding civilian populations. They are dismantling our military infrastructure, the Vryn representative buzzed in alarm. While we debate, they are cutting out our ability to fight back. The elder reviewed the tactical reports with ancient eyes that had seen 10,000 years of peace. This is not random aggression. Look at their targets. Only military installations. No civilian casualties reported. They are not trying to conquer us. They are trying to cripple our ability to threaten them. Is there a difference? Velkoth snarled. They are attacking Concordat territory. This is war. Yes, agreed the jellyfish representative. But it is a war we started. We threatened them first. We sent you with 200 ships to destroy their colony. They are simply responding with overwhelming force. More reports flooded in. The human attacks were devastatingly effective. They would appear from nowhere, strike their targets with precision weapons, and disappear before Concordat forces could respond. Their stealth technology made them nearly impossible to track. But it was not just the military installations that fell. Something else was happening across Concordat space. Something that shook the very foundation of the Alliance. A delegation from the Thelian species arrived at the council chambers. Their blue-skinned faces set in determination. The Thelians were one of the smaller members of the Concordat, a peaceful species known for their skill in medicine and science rather than warfare. We have received a message from the humans, their representative announced. They have offered us a separate peace. If we withdraw from the military alliance against them, they will guarantee our safety and open trade negotiations. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Separate peace? That violates the Concordat Charter. Does it? The Thelian asked calmly. The charter says we must defend each other from external threats. But the humans were not a threat until we made them one. They offered peace from the beginning. We refused. Now they offer it again. But only to those who are willing to listen. Over the next week, 5 more species accepted humanity's offer. They were all smaller members of the Concordat, species that had little to gain from war and much to lose. The great alliance that had maintained peace for 10,000 years was fracturing. The Zarathi Empire, proud and aggressive, mobilized their entire fleet. If the council would not act decisively, then they would. 300 Zarathi warships, their most powerful vessels, gathered in the Dracon system and prepared to strike at Earth itself. Commander Velkoth, stripped of his rank after the Tau Ceti disaster, but still permitted to fight, watched from his new posting on a destroyer as the massive fleet prepared to jump. This time they would not underestimate the humans. This time they would bring overwhelming force. All ships report ready, the fleet admiral announced. Target Sol system human homeworld. We will show these primitives the true power of the Zarathi. We will burn their world to ash. The fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel, crossing the vast distance to Earth in mere hours. They emerged at the edge of the Sol system, weapons hot and shields at maximum. They expected to find human defenses. They expected a battle. What they found was far worse. The tactical displays lit up with contacts. Thousands of them. Human warships surrounded the Zrathi fleet in every direction, a sphere of firepower that completely encircled them. They had jumped straight into a trap. How many? The admiral whispered. 4,000 ships, sir, the tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. Maybe more. They fill every scanner. They were waiting for us. A communication came through. Admiral Chen's face appeared on every screen in the Zrathi fleet. Welcome to Sol System, Zrathi fleet. As you can see, we were expecting you. Your battle plans were transmitted to us 3 days ago by one of your own officers who decided that dying for pride was not worth the price. The admiral's scales turned dark with rage. Betrayal! Who dares? Does it matter? Chen asked. You came here to destroy Earth. To kill billions of humans because your pride was wounded. Did you really think we would not prepare for this? Did you think we would leave our homeworld undefended? Around the Zrathi fleet, the human ships moved into attack formation. Weapon batteries tracked the Zrathi vessels with machine precision. Missile tubes opened. Railguns charged. You have one chance, Chen said quietly. Surrender your fleet. Your crews will be treated well and return to the Concordat. Refuse and every single one of your ships will be destroyed. I will not give you time to debate. You have 60 seconds to decide. The Zrathi admiral looked at his tactical display, at the impossible number of human ships that surrounded his fleet. He thought of the 300 vessels under his command, the finest ships the Zrathi Empire had ever built. He thought of the crews aboard them, warriors who had trained their entire lives for battle. And he thought of the ruins at Tau Ceti, where 200 Concordat ships had been torn apart by human weapons. All ships, he said, his voice heavy with defeat, power down weapons. Extend surrender protocols. It was the first time in Zrathi history that an entire fleet had surrendered without firing a shot. Across Concordat space, the news of the Zrathi surrender spread even faster than the news of Tau Ceti. The Zrathi, the most warlike and aggressive species in the Concordat, had been defeated without a fight. Their entire fleet captured intact. Species that had been considering joining the war against humanity suddenly reconsidered. The Concordat's unity was crumbling. On a captured Concordat station that humans had taken 3 days earlier, Velkoth sat in a detention cell, watching news feeds with a mix of emotions he could not name. Shame at his defeat, anger at human superiority, but also something else. Something that felt almost like respect. A human guard approached his cell. Someone to see you, Commander. Admiral Chen entered, carrying 2 containers of what appeared to be a hot beverage. I brought tea, he said, offering one to Velkoth. On Earth, it is traditional to share a drink with a defeated enemy. A sign of respect. Velkoth took the container suspiciously. Why, you have defeated us. Why show respect? Chen sat down across from him. Because you were doing what you thought was right. Protecting your civilization from what you saw as a threat. I do not agree with your methods, but I understand your motivation. He sipped his own tea. We are not monsters, Commander. We are not interested in conquest or revenge. We simply want to be free to explore the galaxy without someone telling us we cannot. You have torn the Concordat apart, Velkoth said bitterly. 10,000 years of peace shattered in weeks. The Concordat tore itself apart, Chen corrected, by refusing to treat us as equals, by threatening us when we only wanted to talk, by attacking our colony when we only wanted to exist. You forced this war, Commander. We simply chose to fight it on our terms. Velkoth was silent for a long moment. What happens now? Now we negotiate. The Council has finally agreed to talks. Real talks, not ultimatums. Some species have already made peace with us separately. Others are still deciding. And the Zrathi? Chen met Velkoth's eyes. Your people have a choice. You can continue to fight a war you cannot win, or you can accept that humanity is here to stay and learn to live with us. And if we choose to keep fighting, then we will keep defeating you until you understand that you cannot win. We do not want to destroy the Zrathi. We do not want to destroy any of the Concordat species. But we will if we must. Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and nuclear weapons. We have stared extinction in the face more times than I can count. We are very, very good at surviving. Chen stood to leave. Think about it, Commander. Think about what you saw at Tau Ceti. Think about what happened to your fleet at Sol. Then ask yourself if Zrathi pride is worth continuing this war. After Chen left, Velkoth sat in his cell for hours thinking. He had spent his entire life believing the Zrathi were the strongest warriors in the galaxy. He had believed that might made right, that the strong should rule the weak. But the humans had taught him a difficult lesson. They had been preparing for war while appearing weak. They had studied their enemies while seeming primitive. They had built an empire in secret while the Concordat watched Earth and saw nothing. For the first time in his life, Velkoth questioned everything he believed. Meanwhile, on Earth, crowds gathered in cities around the world to watch the news. Humanity had faced down the entire galactic Concordat and won. Their secret fleets, hidden for decades, had proven their worth. The galaxy knew now that humans were not to be underestimated. But Admiral Chen stood alone on the bridge of his flagship, looking at Earth 3 months after the Zrati surrender. The Concordat Council chambers looked very different. The Grand Hall that had hosted debates for 10,000 years now included a new section, hastily constructed but prominent. It was marked with the flag of Earth, a blue and white representation of humanity's homeworld. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in that new section, looking out at the assembled representatives of 47 alien species. The last time she had been in a room like this, she had been begging for humanity's acceptance. Today, she was here to dictate terms. The mood in the chamber was tense. Some species looked angry, others defeated, a few actually curious. The jellyfish representative pulsed with what might have been sadness. The Vryn buzzed nervously, and in the section reserved for the Zrathi Empire, Commander Velkoth sat with his scales a neutral gray, his expression unreadable. The elder called the session to order. We gather today to formally acknowledge what has become clear to all. Humanity will not be confined. Humanity will not be dismissed. Humanity has proven through strength of arms what they could not prove through words. They have earned the right to be heard. Elena stepped forward. Members of the Concordat, I stand before you not as a supplicant begging for acceptance, but as a representative of a sovereign species claiming its rightful place in the galaxy. When we first met, you judged us. You found us wanting. You threatened us and confined us. You believed that because we were younger and less technologically advanced, we had nothing to offer and posed only a threat. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various delegates. You were wrong, not because we are better than you, but because you never gave us a chance to prove what we could be. You saw our history of war and assumed we were savages. You never considered that a species that has survived countless conflicts might have learned valuable lessons from those experiences. The bird-like alien ruffled its feathers. You attacked our installations. You destroyed our ships. You call us wrong, but you were the ones who brought war to the galaxy. No, Elena said firmly. You brought war when you sent 200 ships to destroy our colony. You brought war when you gave us an ultimatum without even trying to understand us. We simply chose not to be victims. She pulled up a holographic display. These are the casualties from the conflict. Concordat military, 15,000 dead, 40,000 wounded. Human military, 8,000 dead, 22,000 wounded. Civilian casualties on both sides, 0. The numbers hung in the air. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. We could have targeted your civilian populations, Elena continued. We could have destroyed your homeworlds. We had the capability, and after you threatened Earth, we would have had the justification, but we did not. Every strike was against military targets. Every attack was designed to minimize loss of life. Because despite what you believe about us, humans understand the value of life. All life, not just our own. Admiral Chen appeared on the display beside Elena. The Concordat judged humanity based on our past. You saw centuries of warfare and assumed we had learned nothing except how to kill. But you were wrong. We learned how to fight, yes, but we also learned the cost of fighting. We learned that war should always be the last option, never the first. We learned that true strength is not just the ability to destroy your enemies, but the wisdom to turn them into allies. A new set of images appeared, showing human facilities throughout the solar system. For 50 years, we prepared for the possibility of hostile first contact. We built ships in secret. We developed weapons. We created strategies for fighting an enemy with superior technology. We did all of this while hoping we would never need it, but we also did something else. The images changed, showing research facilities, universities, cultural centers. We studied philosophy, ethics, and diplomacy. We learned from our mistakes. We built a unified world government that represented all of humanity, not just the powerful nations. We achieved global peace not through conquest but through cooperation. We learned to see beyond our differences and work toward common goals. Elena spoke again. The Concordat is built on a foundation of peace maintained through superior technology and military might. You keep order by being the strongest force in the galaxy, but humans learned a different lesson from our history. True peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of justice and mutual respect. The crystalline being spoke up, its voice like chimes. Beautiful words. But they do not change what has happened. The Concordat is fractured. 5 species have made separate peace with you. Others are considering it. 10,000 years of unity. Broken. The Concordat was already broken, Chen responded. It was broken when you decided that some species deserved freedom and others deserved confinement. It was broken when you believed that age and technology made you superior. We did not break the Concordat. We simply revealed the cracks that were already there. The elder raised a hand for silence. Enough. We are not here to debate the past. We are here to determine the future. Humanity has demonstrated both the capability and the willingness to stand against the entire Concordat. Further conflict would be costly for all sides, so I asked directly Ambassador Vasquez, "What does humanity want?" Elena took a deep breath. This was the moment everything had been leading to. We want what we asked for from the beginning. Recognition as a sovereign species with the right to explore and settle wherever we choose. Full membership in the Concordat with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Access to Concordat trade networks and scientific exchanges. And most importantly, we want respect. That is all? The Vrin seemed surprised. That is everything, Elena replied. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to conquer your worlds or enslave your species. We simply want the freedom to exist and grow without someone else deciding our fate for us. Is that really so much to ask? Velkoth stood slowly. All eyes turned to him. The Zrathi had been silent throughout the proceedings, still reeling from the humiliation of their fleet's surrender. The Zrathi Empire has discussed this matter extensively, he began, his voice formal. For centuries we believed that might made right, that the strong should dominate the weak. Humans taught us a valuable lesson. They taught us that underestimating your opponent is the greatest weakness of all. He looked at Elena, then at Chen's image. The Zrathi vote to accept humanity's terms. Furthermore, we propose that Commander Velkoth be assigned as a liaison to the human military, to facilitate better understanding between our species. The chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. Velkoth, the commander who had led the attack on Tau Ceti, volunteering to work with humans? Elena smiled slightly. On behalf of humanity, we accept Commander Velkoth as a liaison. We believe that those who have fought each other often make the best teachers for peace. One by one, the other species voiced their positions. Some grudgingly, others with genuine warmth, but all ultimately agreed. Humanity would join the Concordat as a full member. The confinement was lifted. The quarantine was over. The formal ceremonies took hours. Treaties were signed. Agreements were made. Trade routes were opened. And throughout it all, Elena felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had claimed its place among the stars. But as the official proceedings concluded and delegates began to depart, Elena found herself standing beside Velkoth. The Zrathi commander was examining the human flag with what might have been curiosity. "Why a world?" he asked, gesturing to the image of Earth on the flag. "Most species choose symbols of power, weapons or stars or abstract concepts of strength. You choose your homeworld. Because Earth is what we are fighting for," Elena explained. "Not conquest, not glory, not power. Home. The right to protect what we love and to grow beyond it. That blue sphere represents everything we are and everything we hope to become." Velkoth was quiet for a moment. "I underestimated you. At Alpha Centauri, I thought you were weak creatures pretending to be brave. I was a fool." "You were not a fool," Elena said gently. "You simply did not have all the information. None of you did. We kept secrets because we had to. But now?" She gestured around the chamber. "Now we can be honest. Now we can work together, can we?" Velkoth's eyes met hers. "My people attacked your colony. We would have destroyed it if you had not stopped us. How can you forgive that? Because you were doing what you thought was right just as we did. And because holding grudges benefits no one." Elena smiled. "Besides, humans have a saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. By making you our liaison, We get to keep an eye on you while you keep an eye on us. Everyone wins. Despite himself, Velkoth made the Zrathi equivalent of a laugh. You are a clever species, dangerous in your intelligence. We prefer the term strategic. On Earth, the news of humanity's acceptance into the Concordat was met with massive celebrations. Cities around the world erupted in parties. People danced in the streets, waved flags, and celebrated the beginning of a new era. Humanity was no longer alone. Humanity was part of something larger. But in a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Chen stood before a very different gathering. Military commanders from every nation on Earth watched him weigh.